Hi, I'm political analyst and Citizen Voice President Gary Dietrich, here to help you make sense now out of Prop 39, coming up on your California November 2012 ballot. This one dealing with taxation of corporations that do business inside and outside of California. Here to help us make sense out of that today is Joe Caves. He's with the Yes on 39 committee, and Dorothy Rothrock. She's a representative with No on 39 from the California Manufacturers and Technology Association. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Let's just start right with you, Joe. Okay. Why do we need Prop 39?
In 2009, the legislature created a tax loophole for out-of-state corporations, and that loophole costs California jobs and it costs California money. Proposition 39 closes that loophole. It establishes a single process, a single treatment for corporate tax based on the idea that corporations should pay taxes based on the amount of business they do in California. That levels the playing field. It brings jobs back to California. It brings fairness back to California.
Okay, we'll get back to some of those details in a second. Dorothy, why No on 39?
In 2009, the state decided to offer a new option for corporations to offer a single sales factor calculation for apportioning their income to the state. This gave some companies the opportunity to grow in the state, and that was a good thing. At the same time, the legislature thought it was wise to maintain the existing formula. It's a multi-factor formula, so that existing businesses would not be hurt by the new option to go to single sales factor. Prop 39 is a bad idea because it's $1 billion tax increase on those companies that have been using the same formula since 1966 and did not ask for nor would benefit from a single sales factor.
Okay, Joe, let's go back to this first question about jobs, okay? So one of the main arguments on your side is that companies that are benefiting under the current structure and would be changed by yours, ship jobs out of California or maintain them outside the state to lower their tax burden inside California. And you're saying that's what prevents these jobs from actually being done inside the state to benefit Californians, correct? Tell us about that, because that's one of your main arguments, is it not, for this proposition?
It is, and you can see it from a simple example. If you take two companies, they both sell the same product. If one company operates only in California, they have all their jobs in California, the two companies have exactly the same sales in California, exactly the same profit margin, so they have the same taxable income on their business in California. If the second company puts all their jobs across the border in Nevada, they'll pay about half the California corporate tax as the company operating only in California. That's just a stupid law. That's not fair. It penalizes California businesses that have to compete. It doesn't provide a level playing field. Prop 39 reverses that. It says everybody plays by the same rules. You pay corporate taxes based on the amount of business you do in California.
Okay. Dorothy, I want you to address this notion of jobs because, certainly that's top of people's mind right now, making sure that we have jobs for Californians. So address Joe's contention, that as the system stands now, it really rewards those who export jobs or maintain them outside the state.
It's an interesting argument because we've been working on manufacturing issues for a long time in the state, my association, and never has anybody said the reason why we're not coming to California is because you don't have a mandatory single sales factor. That is simply not the way companies look at where to put jobs. They look at where the skilled workers are, where the markets are, what other kind of resources or suppliers are available in the area. The issue that the proponents of Prop 39 are bringing up is such a strange hypothetical that's so unrelated to the real world and how businesses operate that I think it's misleading to the voters to suggest that this is going to make a difference.
So just to refine that point a little bit, you don't think that this differentiation in taxation is a business component in their decision making about where they're going to locate jobs?
There's a lot of things that go into it. Right now what we're offering is single sales factor for those that it works, multi-factor formula for those that benefit from that, and so everybody has the opportunity to compete and grow jobs in California. We have companies that there is no way that they can avoid the tax increase that would occur under Prop 39. They're long-standing California companies. They have manufacturing here. They have employees here. A few companies put together, 4,500 employees, They spend $1.5 billion every year on suppliers in California. They will see a tax increase that they cannot avoid.
Because they currently benefit under the system as it exists now.
Yes,
Okay.
as it has for decades.
Yeah. Let me let you respond to that, Joe, because it's kind of an interesting argument. The notion is, well, if this passes, it might actually drive some of these guys out of California, these companies, because of this, tax increase. So I want to give you a chance to respond to that.
Okay. The easiest way to respond to that is this, to say the very companies that oppose a mandatory single sales factor, that's what this tax formula is called, in California, support it in their home states. And they support it in their home states, making the argument that this will bring jobs home. And you know what? They're right. Within those home states, the mandatory single sales factor does create an incentive to locate the jobs there. Almost all of the large states, the market states, the states that companies want to sell into, have adopted this formula because they
one you're proposing,
the one we're
39.
proposing,
Okay.
because they recognize that that's the fairest way to their own companies and the fairest way to bring jobs to California.
All right. Quickly, let me let you respond to that. Dorothy, this notion that we're somehow out of the norm of these major states.
We have single sales factor. That is available for the companies that want to use it. Many of my companies do use it. They use it in California. They use it in other places.
The difference is that this would mandate
This
that.
would mandate
and you're
it.
saying that Joe says that's more fair. You're saying it's not fair.
I'm saying that it's a tax increase on companies that would otherwise be putting more jobs in California. There's a different kind of company that benefits from single sales factor versus multi-factor. I don't know if you want to get into the details.
Now we got to be careful about getting a little too wonkish here, because single factor is about as deep as we want to go in some of this. Okay, let me switch gears if I can, because there is another component that's interesting to this proposition that hasn't really probably been discussed about much, and that's this notion of creating these green jobs, these energy jobs, with the revenue that would come in from these additional taxes on the corporations that would now be subject to the new regulations under 39, and that is $550 million a year, right, Joe? It says for 5 years to pay for projects that create clean energy and energy efficient jobs. So I want you to speak to that, and then we'll give Dorothy a chance.
The idea behind this is California is suffering a horrendous recession, and it's a jobs recession. It's the lack of jobs that is helping to drag the economy down. The Proposition 39 closes this tax loophole and creates a mechanism where we've eliminated the disincentive. But that's not enough to make enough of a difference on the recession. One of the things we can do is take a portion of the increased revenue and dedicate it to job creation in a sector which is suffering the most, and that's the construction industry. We know how to create jobs doing energy efficiency and small-scale clean energy projects. We can do them quickly. We can do them cost effectively. It saves energy. It saves money. It's the kind of thing where we can put solar and energy efficiency investments in our schools, our public buildings, and save tax dollars. And we can create funds where local governments can promote energy efficiency projects for small-scale commercial and other places, so small businesses can get more energy efficiency, save money that way.
Okay, so bottom line here, out of this $1 billion that you both agree would come in additionally under this new measure. For your folks, you saw incentive for the first 5 years, and about half of that $1 billion for the first 5 years only, it sounds like, going to these projects. Okay? Right?
Right.
Okay. Dorothy, let me give you a chance to respond to that. How do you folks feel about that provision in the measure?
Yeah, well, we obviously in November we have the opportunity as voters to look at a lot of tax increase proposals. We have the governor and Munger's proposals. Those go towards education, the other things that we feel are very important need to be covered in California. We feel that the billions of dollars that we're already spending on energy efficiency and many other green technologies is enough. If the voters are interested in raising taxes, we think that the higher priorities include those education, public safety type infrastructure projects. We have billions of dollars coming down in the future for green technology through AB 32 implementation. We think there's enough money there, and we certainly don't need the new bureaucracy associated with this.
All right. Joe, real quick, this notion that you folks have dedicated about $500 million each year for 5 years to green energy jobs, that could be used elsewhere. Speak to that if you could.
Well, and I want to point out here, over a 10-year period, about $13 billion is going to come back to the state as a result of closing this tax loophole, changing the tax treatment of multi-state companies. Of that, about $2.5 billion is going to be invested in immediate job creation. We tried to target the sector where we knew we could create the most jobs quickly to help deal with the current economic situation and do that in the most cost-effective way that would save money through energy savings. The bulk of this money is going back to the state for just the kinds of purposes that Dorothy's identified. It's going to help with dealing with the budget deficit. It's going to go to schools. It's going to go to public safety. It's going to go to all the other priorities the state has.
Okay. So for all intent and purposes, you both agree on the fact that anything above this $500 million after for the first 5 years and anything beyond that really could be used in any way for the general fund, correct?
According in Prop 39, yes, it
Okay.
will.
All right. All right, well, listen, that's all we have time for today. I know that you folks as experts on this could talk for a long time and give us a lot more information, but we're hoping that this helps voters. I'd like to get for you to take 30 seconds each and sum up your best arguments for voters, starting with you, Joe. Why yes on 39?
Again, the legislature created a tax loophole that hurts California. It hurts California economically. It hurts California jobs. Proposition 39 closes that loophole. It provides a level playing field for businesses in state and out of state, and it creates jobs, as many as 70,000 new jobs in California every year.
Okay, Dorothy, why no on 39?
There's no such thing as a loophole that needs to be closed in Prop 39. There's a single sales factor formula. There's a multi-factor formula. Long-standing formulas that companies have been using for decades. California has grown by leaps and bounds in the decades when we had the multi-factor formula. Prop 39 would get rid of that. It's going to be harmful, a tax increase. Vote no on Prop 39.
Okay. Well, friends, no lack of issues in this proposition, is there? Tax increases, jobs, the budget, things that people are talking about every day in California. So we encourage you to take a few moments to get yourself educated on 39, reading our ballot measure summary here, and of course watching this video and sharing with others, and making sure that you're registered to vote, and doing so on November 6th. This measure and others on the ballot are going to affect your lives a lot and those of your kids going forward. And remember, citizenvoice.org, we're here to help.